All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. This is a Town Council meeting for September 12th, 2023. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting was included in the annual notice of the meeting schedule as set forth in Resolution R-21-210, adopted by the Council at its conference meeting November 15th, 2021, advertised in the official newspaper December 30th, 2021, and January 6th, 2022, posted on the bulletin boards outside the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted there. In addition, a copy of the annual notice is and has been made available to the public and is on file in the office of the town clerk. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Counselor Cummings?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Present.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Present.
Counselor Russo? Absent. Counselor Schlager?
Here.
Counselor Yacovelis? Absent. Mayor Spiller?
Present. Thank you. And we'll move the agenda with flexibility without objection. And before we begin tonight, I think just important, as we always note, and I think something that we see everywhere with people who remember and note that we will never forget, we'll just have a moment of silence for September 11th, of course, and those individuals who lost their lives and the heroic first responders as well who sacrificed everything. I'll ask everyone for a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you, and we will never forget. Thank you.
Well said, Mr. Mayor. If I may just interrupt
Please,
for a second.
Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment, Mr. Mayor and my colleagues, to introduce everyone to my newest intern from Montclair State University. She is a senior, Mr. Mayor. This is Sabrina Trenta, and she started working a week ago now when classes started, and I just wanted to give her a warm welcome and introduce her to you.
So you're teaching at Montclair State?
I am not, actually.
Oh.
I was a law professor, though, at Seton Hall
Okay.
Law School, for real,
All right.
for 12 years.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what that has to do with my intern and this statement, but I'm
I
sure
feel
Dave...
sorry.
I'm just most impressed she's still with you after a week.
Right.
So it's good stuff.
Well, you know, and we had to talk about coming to council meetings because,
Well, we certainly wish you well, and certainly it's great to see your engagement and your desire to be part of it. It's I know working with him, it'll be a tremendous experience, and also kind of seeing the behind the scenes, the work that goes into making sure things move and getting bills done and figuring out the politics of navigating votes and things of that nature is very interesting if you find that stuff and glad you've decided to participate and work with him. So welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, you bet.
good job, Bill.
Okay. We've got the minutes presented from July 18th, August 1st, August 7th, August 15th, an executive session of July 18th. Without any corrections or additions, I so move.
Second.
Any modifications? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Sorry, Mr. Mayor, point of order.
Yep.
I'm going to
Abstain on.
abstain. You're way ahead of me. I'm going to abstain on the 1st and the 7th. I'm okay on the 15th, and I don't remember what the July 18th was now, so forgive me.
I think, Madam Clerk, if you could look if there was an absence of any of the council members at that one, that's noted as an abstention for those minutes, because obviously someone wasn't present for that meeting. Okay? If it can be so noted when you check your records.
Thank you,
Is that what
Mr.
you're-
Mayor. I
yep.
appreciate
Mhm.
that.
Absolutely. First, we have a proclamation for Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Mr. Deputy Mayor, would you?
Thank you,
Someone's
Mr. Mayor. Someone's here to receive this. Seeing no one, I'm just going to go ahead and read portions of it then, Mr. Mayor, with your permission.
Sure, thank you.
This is a proclamation for Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas this year, approximately 288,300 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in the United States alone. One man every 2 minutes, and roughly 34,700 will die this year from the disease, about 3,500 more than 2020, which is one man every 15 minutes. And whereas in New Jersey, an estimated 9,460 new cases of prostate cancer will be diagnosed, and an estimated 730 deaths will occur in 2023 alone. I'm now going to read the conclusion here, unless you want me to read the whole thing, Mr. Mayor? Okay. Now therefore, the mayor and the council of the Township of Montclair do hereby declare September 2023 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and encourage all residents to observe Prostate Cancer Awareness Month and support the cause that so deeply impacts families in every community across our country. So moved, Mr. Mayor, and signed by the council.
Excellent. Thank you. Without objection, we have that. Thank you. And again, as we often do these proclamations to raise awareness and to make sure individuals are noting their health, tracking it, and if you're seeing something, getting checked out. But thank you for reading that as well. Let's see. Is Rachel here for ovarian cancer? No? Is anyone here for the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month? All right, we'll do the same here. Councilwoman Schlager, would you mind?
Of course, thank you, Mayor. This is a proclamation declaring this month as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas ovarian cancer is the 5th leading cause of death among young women, and the American Cancer Society estimates that each year approximately 19,710 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer. In 2023, and 13,270 individuals will die from this disease nationwide, including 560 new cases and 350 deaths in New Jersey alone. I will not go through all the rest of the proclamation, but I would like to close that this month the Township of Montclair joins all those who are battling ovarian cancer, those who have lost their lives to the disease, their loved ones, and our state's many dedicated healthcare workers in spreading awareness, committing to public education, and embracing hope for better diagnosis, treatments, and a cure. Now, therefore, the mayor and the council of the Township of Montclair do hereby declare September 2023 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and encourage all residents to observe Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and support the cause that so deeply impacts families in every community across our country. And I so move.
Without objection. And thank you so much, Councilwoman. And it's Rachel Putman, who I know had reached out for that and asked it to be mailed to her. I'll make sure we mail that to her as well. So if you can make sure I just get a copy.
Of course.
I get that when we're done, and I'll have that mailed over, or we'll mail it to her. You got it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, to raise awareness and to make sure we're all doing all we can. So thank you very much. Next, moving forward, we will move to our public comment. All speakers must complete the sign-in sheet next to the podium before addressing the council. The amount of time allotted will be 3 minutes, and before speaking, please clearly state your name for the record. If you wish to comment on a pending ordinance, please do so at that time in the agenda and for the hearing for that ordinance. And with that, we'll open up to public comment.
I don't think the mic's on.
Interim, part-time town manager. You've got a lot to catch up on. I'm just going to jump to one of my favorite subjects, and that's the senior center. For years, I've been asking about the Mills building and what's happening to it. And during the course of the years, it's been used, not used, sold, not sold. So I'd like to know if you're going to put this in the budget for the coming year, or have any thoughts about something. Clary Anderson's going to be an ice rink, I guess. I see this work being done on that. That's a very good building. It just needs a little attention. You could do some fundraising, get people in town contribute, work on it. That's what we need. And I'm not even a community center. We've got Wally Choice, that's working as a community center. We need a senior center. The little building at Edgemont is a little building at Edgemont. And you're all going to be old someday too. Thank you. Oops.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Rich Galiotto. A couple weeks ago, I stumbled across a contractor working in town, and He didn't have his name on his vehicle, didn't have a home improvement contractor's license on his vehicle, and that's required by state law. And I was wondering, does anyone ever go out and check on the contractors that you hire? And the other thing I want to know is there any way that you vet the contractors that you hire? Because when you have people working across the street from a school, and the school kids are there, women are there, you don't know if you have a rapist, you don't know if you have a murderer, you have no idea. Now, the town cannot hire illegals, but can you get your companies that you sub out to, contract out to, can you get a statement from them that they are not using illegals? And that's one thing. But I'd like to get an answer on it. The other thing is, I come up here, I'll go after any one of you. From here, all the way around. I don't care, all right? I will criticize you if you're wrong. I will commend you if you're right. The last 2 meetings or so, you had people come up here, badmouth an employee. Badmouth an employee. I've dealt with all employees in every department in this place. I've had great success with them. But I sat out there and I watched these women come up here and go after her. And you know what? They have a right to speak, but you people could stop it. You can defuse it. Don't throw your employees under the bus. There's a nice, polite way to say, Mr. Galeotto, listen, if you have a complaint, please bring it up with the town manager. You don't just sit there and let somebody come up here and go after one of your employees. That's just not right. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Bonnie Fogel. I live at 16 Forest Street. Before I read the notes I took, I just wanted to mention that I'm a little confused when the plan for Lackawanna is called the Township's Plan, because according to the master plan, there's supposed to be input from the community and the planning board and the historic commission before the plan is created. And none of that happened, because if it had been, there would be a senior center there. We would have essentially a supermarket that we know is going to succeed, that fulfills the criteria of a supermarket, and none of those things are mentioned. So I don't really consider it the township's plan if the population is the township. Concerning Lackawanna, despite some reduction in height and bulk, the plan overall remains totally inconsistent with the major goals and objectives stated in the township's master plan, which is our operating policy document. The project is too big, with too much bulk and density, and therefore inconsistent with maintaining the neighborhood character goals called for to adhere to the surrounding neighborhood and area. The master plan calls for 4 stories in our downtown, which the council continues to refuse to adhere to in zoning. Building C continues to block the views of the local, state, and nationally designated historic Lackawanna train station and site. This is all in spite of the little reductions that were made. This is inconsistent with supporting the master plan goals to protect and enhance our historic properties and structures. The target rental population will further gentrify the community, as has been demonstrated in information provided to you from the Montclair Residents for Responsible Development as part of a community meeting with recognized experts. And that is despite the few affordable housing units created, which will also create other new market rate units and continue the gentrification in the 4th Ward. You've ignored that demographic changing information. Concerning that, I just want to, for anybody who's listening, and all of you, remind you that the 20% is what is required by state in terms of affordable housing, but I have yet to see evidence that that 20% has been fulfilled by any of the projects around here. So again, this is where a lot of people stand about Lackawanna, and there's a lot of unhappiness about it. The people who are very, very enthusiastic, interestingly enough, have direct personal gains from it, or are in professions that seek to gain largely the real estate population. And people who people who love Montclair, the way it is, not making it into Hoboken, are really not happy about this. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to September. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Deirdre Malloy, Montclair resident and officer of the Montclair Chapter NAACP, and chairwoman of its Economic Development Committee, aka EDC. Here to inform you that the EDC is establishing partnerships and community offerings for our membership and local community of all people, especially people of color. I look forward to future discussions with the municipal EDC on economic equity and resources. Please note that the chapter Thurgood Marshall Freedom Fund dinner is Friday, October 6th at the Richfield Regency in Verona. For tickets and sponsorship information, visit and like our new Facebook page at Montclair NJNAACP. As chairwoman of the Township of Montclair Landlord Tenant Advisory Committee, the Committee of Real Estate and Housing Subject Matter Experts that resolves landlord and tenant disputes prior to or instead of court proceedings, I invite anyone interested in volunteering to visit the township website and complete a volunteer information form. Also, see our township webpage for information by searching landlord tenant. Additionally, I am seeking updates on any submitted volunteer information forms. Finally, I am also chairwoman of the Integrity House Board of Trustees. Our mission is to help individuals and families statewide through an effective, measurable system of comprehensive therapeutic addictions, mental health treatment, and recovery support that has a positive track record of helping with positive long-term lifestyle change. I'm excited to announce Integrity House is celebrating its 55th Emerald anniversary at the Newark Museum of Art on Thursday, November 9th. For sponsorship and tickets and information, visit integrityhouse.org/events. Any comments or questions regarding LTAC? Thank you very much. The last thing I will say is that the Landlord Tenant Advisory Committee is an indifferent committee, and we help those who reach out to us, and we follow through by providing resources, and we work with federal and state agencies as well. However, if someone does not provide an inquiry form or follow through, we will close the matter and move on. But we are open to helping everyone who needs the assistance. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Johanna Coxeter, 165 Lincoln Street. The first thing I want to mention is the demolition ordinance. I would like it to include protecting facades of buildings. That's integral to preserving the look and feel of Montclair. And I respectfully request that you work with the HPC chair and attorney to craft that language. And after hearing Bonnie, I have to mention Lackawanna again. I was so happy to find that Montclair had a master plan. Finally, a town that respects the character, the history. So please follow that. Don't go with the zoning. Go with the master plan for the bulk. I know they reduced it a little bit, but it's not enough. What they reduced it to is what we should have started with and reduced it from there. So I hope you will make further changes. Thank you.
I have to sign in. Hello, everybody. I'm Carmel Lockman. As you know, I'm on the planning board. I'm also on the redevelopment subcommittee. So we had a first crack at looking at the revised Lackawanna plan. And then we discuss that amongst ourselves, and then we will be reporting to the planning board this coming Monday, September 18th. And we didn't come up with a report, but we are ready to lead a discussion about that. Way back, I guess, August 16th, the planner provided us with a recap of responses to some of the comments that the planning board had made. As part of her memo, she advised us that there was a report, the Economic Impact Report, and that had been done in early August. However, we haven't received a copy of that, and we've asked for it. I don't know what's in there. The economic impact may have nothing to do with what the planning board is looking at, but we just don't know. So, and we've been looking at a lot of information. The town has been given a lot of information. The community has been given a lot of information. And one of the questions that repeatedly has come up is, well, what's the economic impact? And I personally believe that, I don't know, you just question, well, why isn't been given to us? What's in there? It just makes it seem nefarious. I don't think it is. I'm just saying that I'm asking you if you could possibly release that to at least the planning board so that we can have a look at it. And, whatever is in there, we'll just think about it, whatever. But our mission is to see how the revised plan does or does not conform to the master plan. Whether that has any economic overflow, I don't know. But it would be nice to see the economic impact report. That was done, I guess, in early August. And the last information I have from the planner is that you guys have it, but you won't release it. So that's what I know. And I don't know if that's true or false or whatever. Yeah.
Councilwoman Price Abrams?
I just want to indicate, I have not seen it, so if it's been
Oh.
shared with any subset of people, it has not been shared with the full council, that's all I could say. Yeah.
Make sure your microphone's on and thank you.
We received the original draft, I believe, the night of the last meeting. Subsequent to that, I had a conversation with the CFO regarding some issues, or corrections that needed to be made, not even just substantive issues, but even spelling issues. And I then received another draft, which I then shared with Janice Talley in planning, and we have a meeting with Mr. Beneke on Monday to discuss, and then after that, it will.
Oh, okay.
So
that's-
it's ongoing work product
It's
that you're
ongoing.
working on?
Our
Okay.
schedules didn't allow, he
Yeah.
wasn't around, and so the meeting is Monday, but that's.
Well, I guess the planning board then won't have it before our meeting, but
Okay.
such as it is. I thank you for your
Okay.
transparency
No,
there. It's
I
good to
have not shared it
know.
with anybody on council yet. It's
And I'm not sure why Janice couldn't have said that. She just said the council has it and you can't see it, basically.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have not seen it, just so that we're all on the same page.
Okay, thank you
I'm
very
not sure
much,
it
thank
went
you.
through.
And I don't mean to call out Janice, she works very hard, and
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, get knowledge for myself and the community. Thank you.
Good evening, Renee Baskerville. I'm here this evening to ask, please, that you make the electrical grid for the area around the Bay Street train station, Maple Ave, Montclair Muse, Montclarian 1 and 2, in their priority. For years, many of you know, that's been a horrific area in terms of outages. Every time the wind blows to the right or left, or it's too hot or too cold, they are without power. And this has been going on and going on and going on. And I remember we had meetings with whoever the head of this area of PSE&G was, and I thought we had resolved that. When we were going to do grids for the new fire headquarters, there was something that was supposed to happen then, and then when the Montclair, Hackensack, Mountainside Hospital came through, there was something else that they were supposed to do with the grid. And I see Robin shaking her head. And so we tried to address this. And I want to ask, please, that we don't just let it keep going on and on and on, because it's getting worse. And I feel as though we're really letting down this group. I know other communities have similar, but I don't think to the same magnitude. And most recently, and we have, seniors there that rely on their oxygen, and they rely on air conditioning and other things. And so I'd like for it to become a priority, please. And as we talk about expanding and developing and putting additional taxing on the grids that are in there, it's really hard for me to figure out, why are we going to start building something else when we haven't even figured out how to keep the lights on in the areas that are already in place. So that's it, and I thank you guys for your service, and I know it ain't easy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. LaPaul, I'll let you comment on that as well, but just to note, PSE&G is in conversations around their substation and what that looks like, and that obviously feeds power to all the different spaces. But that's an ongoing conversation, but they are looking to do upgrades there because, it's old and infrastructure needs to be updated. But we're making sure that's done in a balanced way also in terms of what kind of footprint that would look like in the community, and obviously that's a concern too. Mr. LaPaul,
I can just address the issue of the grid. I did have a meeting with Lisa Johnson on this.
I'm sorry, Mr. LaPaul, is your microphone on? I can't
Yes,
hear you.
I have no voice today. It's still on.
Yeah, I know.
So we did have a meeting on this last week, and the issue is basically under current BPU rules, we cannot proceed with the project as designed. So Lisa and others met with the, before I got here, PSE&G, trying to move it along. It's one of those where they won't, despite the fact that it has to be designated a pilot project before we can proceed. So we're working hard toward getting that designation to occur. It's one of those where the BPU seems to have been in favor of a project, but the rules do not allow the project to occur unless we change the rules. So we're working on that. It's complicated, and hopefully we'll have something to report back to you quickly. Thank you. You're welcome.
Hello, how are you all tonight? It's good to see you in a very less crowded room today. I am Hava Felicidad, the president of the Tenants Organization of Montclair. Thank you again for the rent control that we all work so hard to get. I just want to let everyone know that we are still having monthly meetings. They are now called meet and greets. They're posted on our Facebook page at Toom Advocacy, TOOMADVOCACY. And we are still recruiting volunteers and interns, and also increasing our membership. So we do have some new members who will volunteer to do more for us. We're very happy about that. Our interns who have returned to their respective universities are on a little bit of a break. So in the next week or two, we'll be in touch with them about the next moves with regards to their phone calls, to our membership, as well as flyers and ads they're working on, and the minimal posting that we do on our social media so that the pages aren't flooded. We do continue to meet with members in the community who need our assistance, and also reach out to us for direction to resources. And we're developing out more details on our list of those things. And a recent upgrade to our connection with the Rutgers University Law Housing Project and Tenant Solidarity Clinic will also bring more help. And we continue to refer to the same resources that we have throughout the pandemic. 973-936-8848 and Tenants Organization Montclair at gmail.com. And we just ask everyone to continue to be patient in when they message us for the timing to get back to everyone and arrange contacts. 2 or more of us generally need to be on a call or in a meeting. And those who've already had some interactions know that we also do record one-to-one calls. And we're happy to continue to be of service. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you.
Pass them out. Let me know when my 3 minutes starts so I can stress out about time.
Go ahead.
I'm good. Mayor Sean, how are you? Council?
Doing well.
David, thank you for having us. My name is Albie Monterosa. I'm the board president of MESH, Montclair Emergency Services for Hope. We serve dinner meals and we shelter our unhoused and food insecure neighbors here in Montclair. I'm also a local business owner of Boho Hair Salon, Boho Cafe on Watchung Ave, and I was introduced to MESH through my church here in Montclair. About 20 months ago, I got involved deeply with MESH when I realized the need in the community. I also realized the need within the MESH organization. I could not believe that within 1 mile of our comfortable and warm homes, people are literally living and staying on the streets. Our efforts, since I've gotten involved, and we've strengthened our infrastructure within MESH. We've brought on more board members and volunteers. We've nourished relationships in town, and we've also beefed up our efforts and services. Right now, we're serving up to 60 warm dinner meals daily at our MESH Cafe. We're able to seat our guests, give them a nice experience for dinner. We throw birthday parties, we have bingo nights, we have movie nights. We also opened up a free shop for our guests where our guests are able to receive free toiletries, sanitary products, sleeping bags, new shoes, new clothes, and also a laundry service where we're able to, our guests are able to do their laundry, wash their laundry and dry it. In November, at the end of November, as the weather starts getting cold, we're opening up our seasonal overnight respite shelter, where we can sleep up to 22 people. Men and women have their own respective sections. And we welcome our unhoused neighbors from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and get them off the streets. In the past, we've only opened respite when temps are at 32 degrees or under, but this year we would like to open 120 nights straight. That's the entire season. In speaking with our guests, they let us know that they're just freezing. They're out in the cold. It doesn't matter if it's 45 degrees, 40 degrees, if it's raining. They say, Albie, you try to sleep in the cold during those weather conditions. We listen to our guests. We're more than just a normal homeless institution. We are an organization with deep values. And we speak with our guests, we find out what their needs are, we celebrate their highs, and we feel their lows as well. I'm here for 3 purposes. First, to say hello, put a face to MESH, and I know some of you guys, and thanks for supporting. Secondly, I want to get on your radar, a bigger blip. MESH wants to be on a bigger blip on your radar. And thirdly, I want to ask for more funding. Right now, the town does contribute, gives us a stipend of about $35,000. We're asking for $50,000 this year to, our growing costs: food, water, coffee cups, coffee supplies, paper plates, napkins, paper towels, cleaning materials. So much goes into this, and I know it rang, but thank you so much, and I hope you guys do consider this, and nice to meet you.
Certainly, and we want to just say thank you for the work you do. Certainly, we're all well aware, and we try to fund, of course, and we know it's a partnership also with county and others trying to get dollars to do the work, but certainly important work, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Price Abrams and
Yes.
So Albie and I,
Councilwoman Price Abrams.
Albie, hello, nice to meet you.
Hi.
I've known MESH for quite a long time, although you and I haven't actually engaged in the time that you've been doing this work and during my tenure. So nonetheless, very supportive and appreciative of all that you have done and the expanded way you're behaving, you've taken on things. So I'm just curious, when you said 35 to 50, is that would enable you to open for the full? That's not that. So I just wanted to be clear about what it is.
We need $247,000 for the next 12 months. And that includes, our meals, which we're the only organization that serves dinner meals in the area, and only organization that opens respite. I'm asking for 50 because I'm being very conservative. I don't want to hit you over the head, but I would like to partner a little more, and whatever you guys could do. You want to feel generous and give us 75? I would love you.
I mean, I think it would just need to be in a conversation that's, strategic as to what it would mark, it sounds like Councilor Cumming may be closer to the conversation, but
Right.
Look forward to just seeing how we can, through the town, through grant writing, through other things, maybe.
Oh my
be
God, yeah.
supportive.
Thank you.
Councilman
so
Cummings.
what Albie didn't really say is that in the past, they've basically operated from January to April, then took off in the summer, and then came back in October. But what he's actually done is really incredible in terms of they open up, through the efforts of David Plasick, who gave them the office, they were able to give people food every day, and that's wonderful. And then last year, the county had a position where they offered up $40,000 for individuals doing respite. However, the county has some red tape involved in their financing, and some of the days that the county calls Code Blue do not coincide with the days that we call Code Blue.
Right.
So there's some conversation going on with Mr. Terrence McCoy down at the county. I did have a conversation with Brendan Grill to talk about some other access at the county, but at the end of the day, they need around $250,000. And so I don't think we've normally given them 17,000 and 17,000 at different, over different stages. What he asked for, I said, Albie, let's be realistic. And so, an increase of around 13,000 each is a little bit better. But, we have other things that we've looked into, and we'll continue to have these conversations to make sure that there are outside. I did have a conversation with a couple of private funders who would be interested in supporting, so we'll continue the conversation. And Albie is also a member of the unhoused group that I've been working with in terms of identifying those individuals who do need the support. So, but what you've done with MESH in your short period of time and cleaning up some things that needed to be cleaned up, you should be applauded. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for listening, guys.
Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Let's go to Mr. Deputy Mayor, and then I also see Councilwoman Schlager. Mr. Deputy Mayor, you're up. And then-
okay.
yep, mhm.
Albie, real quick, no, I don't, if you want to sit down, that's fine.
No,
too.
I'm good.
It's- I don't care
yeah,
one way or
no,
the
I'm sorry.
other. But you and I have known each other now for a while.
Yeah.
And I just want to commend you on the work that you've done in the short period of time, relatively speaking, that you've been around. And you have my support. We've had that conversation. I've been working with MESH for years, going back to my days as an elder at Presbyterian Church of Upper Montclair. So I know the work very well. You have my support. I'm happy to continue the conversations that you and I started going forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Schlager.
Appreciate
Yes, I just had a quick question. Albie, this is your email up at the top?
Yes,
so
it is.
I will contact you. But I also want, when your guests have overnight sleeping, where is that?
That is in St. Mark's on Elm Street, in their basement. Yeah, and we set up.
Basement?
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
It's so needed, and we can sleep up to 22 people, and we do at times. Sometimes we get families with children. It's heartbreaking.
Right.
But eventually, the dream is to really have our own space where we can do all that. But right now, we're doing what we can do, yeah.
Okay. I will email you, and we can be in contact as well.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
a couple
Albie.
of, to your
Appreciate
point, Councilwoman Schlager, a couple of the events actually were at Grace when I was working with MESH back in the day, which is sad, as we all know, that with the
Yeah.
recent fire, because you have to have certain accommodations to be able to host. We didn't have them at PCUM, unfortunately, but we did at some of the other churches in town, so.
Yeah, no, right, yeah. Facilities, showers and that kind of stuff, yeah.
Thank you, Albie.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, see. Good seeing you.
Good evening. My name is Lonnie Summer Padilla, and I'm a resident of Montclair. I'm doing double duty tonight. It was back to school night at Glenfield, and I know a few other people are hoping to show up from Glenfield tonight as well to speak here. I'm hoping that they make it on time. But I first want to reiterate that we need a new town clerk. This cannot go on as it's been going on, and I know that that is really something that is an imminent decision, and I really hope that you have listened to the people of Montclair who have expressed this sentiment to you through emails, through speaking at public comment. There's a lot of frustration with the job that has been done by this town clerk, and it's just the job is not being done well, properly, and there are a number of situations where the town clerk has been in violation of OPMA and OPRA. We still don't have all the minutes to all of the meetings, so that needs to be addressed. In addition, as I said, I came from back to school night at Glenfield. We are still working very hard in our advocacy for getting pilot revenue to our schools. We are not going to stop, and we are building momentum. I was able to speak at back to school night tonight about pilots and the revenue going to school. Our principals in our schools are welcoming us. We are running tables. We are educating the public. So get ready for more of that coming your way. I also am still concerned about what happened with the firefighters and the promotional exam and Bruce Morgan's report, and the fact that the town has now promoted firefighters who took that rigged promotional exam, and that is wrong, and that's not okay. This is not what Montclair stands for. We need to show the firefighters who were discriminated against that we will not stand for that, and we will do something about it. The Chief Herman needs to go. There's just so many concerns still, and they keep piling up. And every time I think I'm wrapping my head around an issue, there's another issue that's coming up. So please do what's right for Montclair. Thank you.
Martin Schwartz. Mr. Manager, I understand you announced that the Lackawanna financial report will be available on Monday.
I'm having a meeting on Monday, and after that, I'll give the exact date on which it's released, but it should be shortly thereafter.
Could you give the date that the township received that report?
The first version was the night of the last meeting.
Hold on, Mr. LaPola, I appreciate the back and forth, but
Sorry.
your mic's not on, people can't hear you at
Sorry.
home, so let's hear the comments,
Okay.
because you're eating into his 3 minutes, and let's
All right.
get anything answered at the end that you need.
The first draft I received on, I think it arrived the night of, we were sitting here, the first meeting that I attended. And then after that, with some back and forth, there was a second version that arrived, I believe, about 10 days ago. And I asked for a meeting with Mr. Beneke, and I asked for the planner to be included, and that meeting is set for Monday.
The draft that was received, was that only edited by Mr. Beneke?
The only edits are by Mr. Beneke. It was a conversation about what was included and et cetera.
So the report is essentially Mr. Beneke
It's totally his report. We don't get to edit it or veto it or anything.
Have any of the counselors seen that report?
I have not seen it. I have not shared it.
Understood. Okay, thank you, sir.
Dear Mayor Spiller and councilors, my name is Colleen Doherty and I live on Mormon Street. I am here to advocate that Montclair Township share pilot revenue with the Montclair School District. But I am tired of coming up with witty banter. So today I come with other people's words. From the New Jersey School Board Association, and I quote, "For certain redevelopment projects, school districts can endeavor to get a seat at the table, to come to terms with the local leaders, and to attempt to share in a portion of the payments. This is especially important in new development generates children, if the new development generates children that will be enrolled in the school district. From an article by PKF O'Connor Davies. The name may sound familiar to you because it's the accounting firm that audits Montclair's financial statements. They are not specifically speaking about Montclair. And I quote, "The cities have over many years granted payment in lieu of tax pilot agreements with various property owners wherein no tax is levied on the properties with pilot agreements for the school tax of the cities. This creates a gap between education service requirements and related costs with no support by the property owners for the costs associated with the education of students in the cities." The next one requires a bit of a setup. In 2020-2021 legislative session, New Jersey State Senator Troy Singleton tried to pass legislation that would require towns to share their pilots with the school districts. Singleton wrote in a press release, "A state controller report from several years ago noted that New Jersey's municipal tax abatement program is pulling critical funding away from school districts and leaving taxpayers to pick up the costs." In support of this bill, the New Jersey Education Association wrote on its Action Center page, Under current law, a municipality must provide 5% of the payment in lieu of taxes to the county and are not required to provide any portion to the local school district. For far too long, local government entities have been able to approve development projects without considering how these projects would impact the public school system. This bill is a forward step in the right direction toward ensuring that government entities whose actions can impact the operation, financing, student enrollment of school districts are communicating with the school district and considering how their actions will impact the children, employees, and finances of the local school district. NJEA urges you to support this bill. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we will close public comment. Next on the agenda, we have first is Ordinance O-23-06, which is an ordinance to amend Section 347 zoning of the Code of the Township of Montclair, and I am going to move that we table that till our next meeting, so you can pick date certain of the next meeting. If there's a second.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Tabling is debatable. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We've tabled that one. For the item 2, withdrawn, Madam Clerk, just from Mr. Attorney, you can comment. Just from Robert's Rules Procedures, I don't think that could be withdrawn. We tabled it until this meeting. As a note, I know it's the property that's sold already for all the reasons, and I know people are like, wait a minute, it's a mistake, but it's tabled till the meeting, so I think it does have to be on until we move it for here. But that has been withdrawn, so I'll just note that. All right, thank you. Next, we have Ordinance O-23-33, which is an ordinance to amend O-20-07, creating certain offices, positions, and employments in the Township of Montclair and the County of Essex and fixing salary ranges thereof. Mr. LaPola, would you like to speak to that quickly before anyone moves it? Or-
Yeah, just basically, these are changes to titles to better reflect the needs of those various departments. Backup is provided.
Your microphone's on, right? It may be.
Yes, it's- my voice
okay,
is
no,
not.
just making sure.
And,
Okay,
and the backup has been provided by the various directors.
good, thank you. I think that explains to everybody. With that, I so move.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Yakubellis absent. Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Ordinance O-23-34, which is an ordinance to amend Chapter 327-9.1, the Code of the Township of Montclair, to designate the intersection of Union and Clinton multiway, and I so move.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, or comments? Madam Clerk?
Oh, if I may, I'm sorry.
Council- yep,
Yeah,
Councilwoman
Mayor,
Price
I do-
Abrams.
I think this came maybe through the EDC, and I just wanted to recognize that it is, one of many opportunities that, we've engaged with our, for the Montclair Police Department as well as our engineer to sort of evaluate where these intersections, we just have too much danger on our roads in terms of people speeding, they're not following signs, and, making a four-way stop is another one of these things that we have taken up making this now a multi-way stop. I just want to recognize the importance of it, but also, as we are about to stand up a Vision Zero task force to have more traffic safety, it's just a moment to notice we keep passing these things because people are driving without enough due care, and I just hope that the public can take some note of that. Again, we're going to mount a bigger effort in this regard when that task force is actually up and running, but I just want to acknowledge that this is one piece of that. Thank you.
Good point. These are Montclair residents that are driving through Montclair. And other people. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Yakubellis absent. Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Ordinance O-23-35, which is an ordinance to amend O-23-31 to prohibit the use of gas-powered leaf blowers in the Township of Montclair. Mr. Burr, would you like to speak to it? Before we move it.
Mike is not on. Yes, Mayor. There was a couple of changes that were necessitated by law pertaining to the violations provision that we needed to comply with state law. So that was one of the changes that needed to be made for discretion of the municipal judge to set a penalty. Another change to the ordinance was related to removing the amount of devices that could be used at one time. We're eliminating that so that there is no maximum on the number of units that can be used. There is also a change to replace boilerplate language in the ordinance, so that any pre-existing ordinance or in the code, which is the noise ordinance, that section is repealed, so it's not inconsistent with the new ordinance. Anything else?
Mr. Burr, no, is he, anything else? Are you done, Mr. Burr, with all the?
Yes, well, we do need to make a change in the penalty provision, and I would ask the council move to amend the language that relates to the set of the fine and change that language up to a penalty of a...
Can I help?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's on, Madam Clerk, if you're making this note, on the new numbered 6 is the violations and penalties. The amended version that everyone saw indicated a fine up to $250 for the first offense, up to $500 for the second offense, and the words "up to" before the third offense need to be added. So that's the actual change from what text everyone has in front of them, and that's what our assistant attorney had explained was an error.
Was an error, right? It needed to be changed. Thank you.
Sure.
All right.
And then, if I may.
Sure. All right, so that's the explanation of it. Hasn't been moved yet, so I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Would anyone like to speak to it? Madam, Councilwoman Price Abrams?
Thank you. So again, the only substantive piece at all is that we had sought to limit that no more than 2 leaf blowers of any kind, and they're described, would be used at any one property unless the property was greater than an acre, and we've removed that, which was a barrier for some people. So if a company may use more to the extent that they are compliant equipment, we sought to remove that. So that is coming out, and the rest, as Mr. Burr explained, are much more technical in nature. And so this, in fact, doesn't change anything with regard to, the law that we passed is already in effect. It remains in effect as we enter that season. These are very minor refinements. And again, in that sense, slightly opens up the use of, again, additional equipment if it's compliant on all properties in the township. And I just wanted to acknowledge that through our own staff, we have Lisa Johnson, who does our sustainability portfolio, and with other parties who have been helpful from the community. We have an information sheet that's going into the water bills that are soon to go out, so everyone will get some information in their household. Other advocates have come forward and shared that there's a leaf raking marketplace and something on Facebook, so we're going to leverage every kind of service that we can to support people in doing this. But further to that, I'm going to ask of the manager if you would help establish sort of a very ad hoc implementation task force. We do have both Lisa Johnson in the sustainability space, someone from DCS. We talked about, who would understand it from the more technical side and how one does that. We look to bring some of the advocate voices and some of the landscapers so that we could really help to bring people along on how they can do these, take care of the people in town. Hopefully they will find the ways to adapt. We seek to help them do that so that everyone who has a company they like to work with, we may be able to help them keep those folks to continue to service the residents in town and, in a more wholesome and holistic way for the town. So I would be glad to serve as a liaison to that to the extent that a representative council could be there. But really, it's something very, maybe a handful of times to meet so that they can maybe get on the good footing.
I understand what you're trying to accomplish and happy to accommodate.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
No.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
No.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Yacovelis absent. Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Resolution R-23-209, which is a resolution authorizing the execution of the contract with Clary Anderson Arena for the management and operation.
No, it's
I so move.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments?
Yes. So it's my understanding that previously our deal with the person who ran the arena was we got a percentage of their income, which calculated roughly about $38,000 in 2022. However, on the flip side, we paid roughly $140,000 on utility costs. So I think the LLC should be responsible for the utilities, because essentially what we're doing is we're spending $100,000 roughly of taxpayer money to help someone make $400,000 to $500,000. So I don't think that's fair. I think we do need to provide services for our community, such as the ice skating rink that it does for the hockey team and everything, but I don't think we should be basically subsidizing someone to make $100,000 off of our taxpayers.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Mr. LaPaula?
Just as background, this went out for RFP, I believe, on August 2nd. The responses came back at the end of August. There was one responding party, Clary Anderson Arena, LLC, and their bid was to do all of the operations, and they would make a payment to us of $50,000 a year. In the prior contracts with them, it was the percentage, as Councilor Cummings explained. I reviewed the RFPs from not only this year, but from the previous, most recent RFP before that, which was 5 years ago, because it was a 3-year contract with 2 one-year renewals, in which the language then and the language now does not specify that the fee has to be a percentage. It just says financial proposal as to how you're going to pay us. When this came to my desk, we had a situation very much like this. We have one bidder. They're offering to pay $50,000. Utilities were not included in this bid, were not included 5 years ago, and as far as we can ascertain, utilities have never been paid by the LLC. So we had a choice to make. We can go try to rewrite it and rebid it. The facility opens on October 1st. I don't disagree with, agree or disagree with the councilor's comments about subsidies, but however, we were faced with a situation of whether or not to risk the facility not opening. Hockey season starts, people start coming, and I made the decision that we would proceed with the bid as it was procured, so that we could guarantee that the facility be opened on time.
I can appreciate that, but my point is, I've made this same argument last year and the year before that, because at one time there was a point where once the township stopped operating it, that the owner did pay for the language. Just don't know when that was taken out. So again, I go back to, unfortunately, you and I did not have a conversation about this, or I would have made you aware, And so essentially, I think it's a matter of just wanting on the record that what we're doing is basically looking to subsidize by paying $100,000 in utility costs for someone who's going to end up making between $400,000 and $500,000. I just want that on the record. That's what we're doing.
And as I mentioned to you, we as a group will soon be having a conversation about the future of the arena and what's necessary to update it, et cetera, in order to it to be functional in the first place, let alone what you see as the future of the arena.
Yeah, that is a conversation that does need to be had. But I think, and Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, you, Councilor Acabellis, and I sort of had like a facilities committee, and what we basically suggested was we need to focus on the police station and town hall before we look into any considerable other developments, because those are assets that we really need to take care of. That's where our people work.
Sure.
And I think, but the Band-Aid on Clary Anderson, as we keep doing that, this is where we're going to end up.
Okay.
And I'll just note for the record, even with whatever agreement we're saying, we've gotten one bidder. So obviously the lucrative nature has attracted one bidder looking to operate this. I'll also say this, Mr. LaPolla, for the record, though, that we also, in the budget process specifically, I know my colleagues remember this as well, we did dedicate $40,000 for a feasibility study, specifically, and we'd like to see that moving, right, to see what this, what it looks like here specifically. So if you can work with the CFO, I believe she was actually here at that meeting, and make sure we've got the $40,000 and we put it to work ASAP to look at the improvements that can be made to the rink.
Okay.
Thank you. But if you could check on that.
Yeah,
Madam
once that does start, I would like to know who we bring in and who applies for that, because I think we've had multiple conversations about the arena, and our own staff has said it's a tear down, and we had engineering companies. We walked it with engineers last year. I haven't seen anything from them, so I think it's a great asset that I think can be used for multiple purposes. But again, I go back to, we have some other things that we need to take care of before we consider that. I'd like to know what their recommendation is too.
Counselor, as someone who's been there for a month and had the ceiling in their office fall down twice.
You're in the seat now.
I am fully supportive of dealing with infrastructure such as our public buildings.
Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
No.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Yakubellis absent. Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Resolution R-23-210, which is a resolution awarding the contract for the repair and maintenance of the fire apparatus of the Montclair Fire Department. I so move.
Second.
Any questions, concerns, comments? Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Yakubellis absent. Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Resolution R-23-211, which is a resolution awarding the contract to purchase one police utility vehicle. I so move.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Yakubellis absent. Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Resolution R-23-212. Councilwoman Schlager?
Yes,
Wouldn't mind?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Whereas invoices against the Township of Montclair in favor of the following persons for the amount set opposite their respective names have been received, duly audited, and found correct. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair in the County of Essex that said invoices be, and they are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department to the order of such persons for the amounts respectively and hereinafter stated on this computer printout attached hereto and made a part hereof. This bill list is dated September 12th, the year of 2023, for the amount of $8,685,034.30, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments? Councilwoman Price Abrams?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Manager, on, oh gosh, hard to see the pages, but at the very top corner, seems to be page 23 of 36. So it's a lead detection machine that is, it's something like $24,000. I just was wondering if you could, if you know, what is What is that? What are we doing? Have we protected people? What are we doing with a lead detection machine?
I will have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, okay, I recognize you might not.
Well, he's not here, but as we know, Mr. Abzarni's come in with our plan to replace the lead lines, all the lines that go from the street to homes and test for it. We've got a program already that we've been trying to replace all owned lead lines. While I'm not going to speak to whatever, but knowing that that work has been ongoing and he's come before us talking about that,
It's very
I would
possible.
imagine
Okay.
it's related to testing to see which.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was for, I mean, it's all related to
Could be,
public
yeah,
health,
could be.
but I didn't know what way we're using it. All right.
Just because I've heard him
interested.
over and over
Thank
about
you.
that, but yeah.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, that is a good, that's the lines to the house, right?
I believe
And
so. The program.
The cost will be bared by the township and not the property owners.
Right, he's had that conversation a bunch of times, like which way that could go, and it's discussion. But it was when he was, if you remember, he was replacing a lot of the water meters.
Right.
And as part of that work, which we would do anyway, it was cost effective, in effect, to be doing that work, testing the line. Then, when you're going in to replace that meter, if you test the home and find out it's a lead line, maybe with this test, we would then switch it. So it was a value-added service we were providing while also replacing the meters. I imagine if he replaces a meter, does the test, and it's not a lead line, you know, that
Right.
stays. But that was, at least I recall. the
Yeah, I just want to
conversation,
make
yeah.
sure we're still on
That's how I-
the stage of that. It's a
That's-
township burden because there's some lines that are considerably long.
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
I just want to mention the final phase of the change of the meters and the testing is going to be happening shortly, and a letter will be going out to the remaining property owners who have not had their meter changed within the next week or two.
Great.
I didn't quite hear everything you said.
And your
so-
mic was on, right?
Most homeowners have been taken care of. There's still the last batch. So the letter's going to be going out to basically say we need to enter your house, change your meter, do some testing, et cetera.
Any other questions, concerns, comments on that one, on the bill list? Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yep.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Yakubellis absent. Mayor Spiller?
Yes. All right, Mr. LaPola, I'll kick it over to you to go over
Sure.
items for the next meeting.
Item number one is a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting for the provision of consulting services in connection with the Township Professional Architectural Services. This falls within the Planning Department, and I ask that this be placed on the agenda.
Yeah, go ahead. Just go through them all.
Okay. Sorry about that. Number two is a resolution awarding a contract for the 2023 fall tree planting. This was the low bidder. Next, number three.
Mr. LaPola, I'll just say on that one, first, a good sign that we're starting to see. I may have noted for the rink before with one bidder here, it's good to see the number of bidders. For many years on the tree planting, we've had one bidder. And that's, to see this switch around is a good sign, although we see the different amounts there. Just note, we've always looked at it and the details in the contract, et cetera, to make sure that all of the proposals are the replace if the tree doesn't survive past the year, or the upkeep, et cetera. There's provisions that have usually been in there. So just making sure that's part of it as you look at these, including the lowest bidder.
Gotcha.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Number three, resolution awarding a contract to Northeast Sweepers and Rentals for the provision of one street sweeper for Montclair Department of Community Services in accordance with KPN -202012-05 National Cooperative Contract. By purchasing through this cooperative, we are saving approximately $14,000. And the amount of the purchase is $279,877.84. Number four is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to purchase new radio equipment for the police dispatch center. This is a state contract vendor, and this is in the amount of $83,286. Number five, resolution authorizing the renewal of the fair and open contract for Township on-demand property maintenance services. This is a continuation of a previous contract included in this year's budget, and it is retroactive to the first of the year. Number 6, this resolution amending the fair and open contract to JD Information Systems Consulting LLC to serve as the IT department's Level 3 help desk consultant. This is amending that contract by $10,000 due to the overwhelming amount of work required with the cyber attack. It's necessitated that we increase the amount of this contract. Number 7, resolution awarding contract for the South Park Street roadway and culvert improvement project, and this is the sole responsible bid. Number 8.
Hold on, sir.
Sure.
Councilman Cummings, it sounds like?
Yeah, so we had 2 bids for this,
Yeah, and I believe the one bidder realized that they had made a mathematical mistake.
so did they get an opportunity to
They pulled it
improve
immediately.
it? Or they
Yes.
did?
They
'Cause
just
that's a
out.
considerable difference, right?
Yeah, that,
So I'm assuming, which one made the mistake?
the ones that would have,
The lower one or
The
the
lower
higher
one.
Made the mistake?
yes.
Okay.
There are letters attached, Councilman,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
go through. Yeah.
I see it, but
Number 8, a resolution awarding contract for the Highland Avenue roadway improvements, New Jersey DOT funded project in the amount of $529,218. There were 8 bidders, and this was the lowest bidder.
they
Mr. Mayor.
didn't come low on this one, though, did they?
Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had spoke with Mr. LaPola. I'd like to go ahead and move this one tonight, and I believe Councilman Schlinger?
Yes, I would support that. But these roadways are both in the first and second ward. It's a little bit of each, so I would like to support that. What Deputy Mayor Herlock just asked for.
It's moved and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Yakubellis absent. Mayor Spiller?
Yes, and I'll just note, as has always been the case too, and even the council people will note it here, we have the staff and teams, and of course, based on grants that we receive and other pieces, select the roads and do that work. Of course, you're moving it a little faster than it would be here, right? But otherwise, just note to the public, it is not, people reach out and call us and then it gets on. It is assessed township employees, a number of factors, usage, size, et cetera, and where the grant dollars are coming from, and then they make it to the work project. So I want to note that, but happy to move.
Well said, Mr. Mayor, and I'll just add that I think this is the last stretch, at least in the first ward, that needs to be done over the last 11 years that I've been here.
There's a
so.
few still in the third, so.
What's that?
There's a few still in the third. So
I'll
wait
defer
see
to
when those,
my colleague across the aisle here.
Mr.
on that.
LaPola, we'll see when those happen, the third
What
ward
I'll
ones,
say is,
In all serious,
that's my shortcut to Willowbrook, and I have to tell you, it's a pretty smooth ride.
except there's no curbs or anything.
just
but-
saying,
It's about to be smooth. It's about to be smooth to ride.
Suspect.
But in all seriousness, thank you all for your support on that. I appreciate that.
No, look, and I think, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and I think all of us agree, it's been our investment for decades now of investing in infrastructure that had not been done when we first came on the council. I know you and I, roads were not done, and, we just, years, and finally catching up on that, so it's good news. Okay, moving on, Mr. LaPola.
Number 9 is resolution authorizing renewal of an inactive alcoholic beverage plenary retail consumption license number 0713-33-018-007 for Montclair Mezzanine LLC for a term ending June 30, 2024.
Okay, and Madam Clerk, I'll just note, this is, again, the state has already granted, all the pieces needed, et cetera, for the
Yes,
inactive.
Mayor.
They've applied for their waiver to be inactive and all the, right?
Yes, the governing body has already renewed this license. It's inactive and it doesn't have a premise, so it's considered a pocket license. And it's been done twice, so the licensee sought special permission from the state, and we received it a couple of weeks ago.
And I'm sure we'll keep an eye on that. I know the governor, it's been one of his primary pieces is to kind of stop these pocket licenses. There's a lot of talk of liquor licenses getting onto the market and being utilized, and then the counter is that many towns have these licenses that are pocketed and not used. So we'll keep an eye on what the state keeps doing around granting these or not. Okay, thank you. With that, we'll add those items for consent agenda, Mr. LaPola, Madam Clerk,
Yes.
for the next meeting as well, okay? All right, thank you very much. With that, Mr. LaPole, anything to add?
I have a bunch of internal items I'd like to discuss.
Okay.
A report
Please, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. LaPole.
after my first month here. Thank you, Mayor.
If you
I
just lean in, because it's hard to
I'm
hear you a
leaning
little bit.
in. I'm sorry, this is an issue I have.
Yeah.
By 7 o'clock at night, I'm whispering. I just want to give an update on some of the internal issues that we've been addressing. As you know, Katja Woke is retired effective Friday, a long-time communications director. So in order to better address the needs of municipal government, the IT department, which is Tony Fan, will, as you know, will have 2 additional employees in the near future to deal with some of our IT issues. I'm splitting some of the responsibilities from what were Katja's responsibilities, putting Channel 34 under Tony and the more hard technical things there. And then we will have a position that will be called communication specialist, whose job it will be to deal with press issues, communications, all of those things. In addition to that, our plan is to go live with our new website on November 1st. That would also be the responsibility of the new employee. The second topic I'd like to talk about is that I know prior to me getting here, there have been long discussions about looking at our current sick and vacation policy and making sure we are in compliance with state law. We now have legal opinion as to exactly how we're addressing this. The way we're addressing this is in compliance with statute. We'll have a draft ordinance in advance of next meeting for all of you to read. And I invite you, if you have any specific, questions or comments, please reach out to me directly. And either I will or Paul will or both of us will try to explain why it says what it says. Okay? Third thing is, we are finally going to automate our OPRA requests. We are implementing the next quest system. Residents and others will be able to go online, file their request, and track their request through the system as there are responses developed by different and various departments. Our tentative date to go live for this is October 2nd is a Monday, October 1st or 2nd, we will be going live with this system, which I believe is long overdue. It worked, sure.
Can we just elaborate for people who are interested how this will actually facilitate?
Yeah.
If you didn't hear, I was just
If you want to
asking
file an
if you
open
might
request, you'll go
elaborate.
on our website, you go to the link, you'll enter your information, it will be routed to the appropriate department, and you'll be able to track as it goes through the system, just like as if you're going to get a building permit, you can track. It's the same, theory. So you will be able to see exactly where it is, if it's being held up, if it's not being held up, if there is a reason why it has to be reviewed by council or anything else. It'll take a tremendous amount of the burden off of the people who work in the clerk's office and will add a level of transparency that I think is, will be welcomed in Montclair.
So when OPA requests come in, they're going to go to department heads?
The way it goes now is it goes to the clerk, they refer to the appropriate department head, they in turn respond, send it back, it goes back out. This will allow, through the whole system, say you have a question, you're buying a house and you want to see if there's any open construction permits.
Right.
That gets routed to the construction department, they check it, you can see when they got it, when they post the record, et cetera, et cetera. So in real time, you can see where your OPA request is. This is used in many municipalities in New Jersey, school boards, et cetera. And I've talked to a whole group of clerks who tell me it is very easy for the users and alleviates a lot of the burden from not only their clerk's office, but also the departments, because it's very simple, and it brings accountability to various departments.
So then
because 99.9% of what OPA requests are is not information that is in the clerk's office. It's in various departments. They and clerk ask the question, whether, and counsel can attest to the fact that he gets perhaps hundreds of them, and they go through it, post the information, and that's how it works.
Yeah, so the other effect is to be very cumbersome on those department heads to track down some of the things. So
They have to do that. They're doing that anyway.
I'm just saying, so like with the police department, it's a lot of work. It's illegal.
They're used to it. They comply with the law now.
Yeah, they
You
already,
know.
the
Okay.
police department.
And that's,
Already tracks down their own documents for release under Oprah. What the council may not be aware of is that the department heads had been deputized as custodians of records, I believe back in 2019, was it the 2019 resolution that was passed by the council?
Mayor, may I? The latest amendment, yes, Mr. Byrd, was
Yeah.
in 2019.
And so what basically happens, to clarify for the public, is that an Oprah request comes in, it's directed to the clerk's office, and then the clerk's office directs it to that department that holds that record. So buildings department holds the permits, if it's a police record, police department, if it's a planning record, planning department, and then that request goes to that department gets the record and responds to both the requester and the clerk's office to let them know that the record has been responded to. As of late, as the council may be aware, that there's been a high volume of Oprah requests. And some of these Oprah requests are for personnel records, for litigation matters, for things that may be exempted by the Oprah exemptions that may require a legal review. The custodian of the record may already know whether it's exempted or not, but it may have to come to the law department for a review, i.e. people ask for emails, volumes of emails. We may get a request that turns out tens of thousands of emails, and each email has to go through for legal review to see if it complies. At that point in time, the clerk's office or the custodian of that record will respond to the requester and let them know that an extension is needed while it's going through that legal review. Sometimes the legal review takes 2, 3, 4 weeks to go through. But once it's completed, then the records are either supplied or a response to why that record is exempted, or if the record is redacted, the record gets redacted and a legal reason is given why that record is redacted. So I think the system that is going to be coming in the clerk's office will help, especially the requester, because the requester will send in an email and want to know what's going on, and it may take a day or two to get back to them to follow up. Now they'll be able to see in real time where their request is, where their documents are. And if they still need to make a phone call and call in or send an email in for further clarification, they can do that too.
And if I could just to give you some perspective on this, so far this year, we have over 1,000 Oprah requests. Last year, I believe we had 990-something total.
2,000.
No, was it 2,000?
Yes. Last year, we had over 2,000 Oprah requests.
So I just want to give you a sense of the volume.
What else do you have?
Okay, and the last subject I'd like to address,
May I add a comment
Sure.
at that point, or? Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to flag that I had also, in light of the litany of complaints that have been coming through, I made an inquiry of the clerk, over a week ago, and just wanted to understand for myself. I understand. So the answer came back that the clerk's office has been compliant to the extent that within the 7-day window, a requester will get either, the record, a request for an extension, or an indication that it's not a record that can be provided. Those are 3 categories. So the terms of that are being met already, but as has been explained, it's the volume of things that may have to get legal review. In some cases, I believe, if you were going to speak to it, I don't know, but to the extent that we had issues with availability of certain kind of records due to the malicious, activity that happened on our system, the cyber attack. So I want to say that it has been expressed to me, and then through the clerk had issued her own explanation to the whole council, that I believe the township is compliant. And I don't know, when people make a broad-based kind of a statement to the contrary, I don't know on what that's being based. So the information that's been provided to the council has satisfied me that we, as a township, are compliant, and that the clerk and her team, such as they may be composed at any time, have been, effectively doing the job that they're asked to do with regard to Oprah. So I just wanted to sort of put that on the record, and then
Mr. LaFolle, would you like to add more to that, Madam Clerk?
I just want to say, for example, we had one request where the response was 5,400 pages. So it's a lot of review, especially anything involving litigation, personnel, a lot of police record information has to be reviewed, redacted, and it is extraordinarily time-consuming for those types of requests.
Labor intensive.
Yes.
All right. Madam Clerk, anything to add to that?
No, Mayor, thank you.
I have one more topic.
Please.
Okay. I want to address the issue of the ransomware attack that happened here in Montclair. As someone who was not here at the time, I had the opportunity to work backwards and review it every step of the way. As you may or may not be aware, and I'm addressing the public here too, the attack occurred on June 1st, where the quote-unquote, as they call them, bad actor.
The threat actor.
Attorneys told me to call them bad actor.
Oh, you go bad actor? Okay.
Please. So we obtained unauthorized access to our system. The township immediately contacted law enforcement, including Homeland Security and FBI, contacted other agencies, our insurance carrier. We had a team of experts and consultants and everyone who worked together. Ultimately, a ransom was paid in the amount of $450,000. That was a decision made by all parties involved. This was, we have to understand that while this was occurring, our entire system, virtually our entire system was down. Our departments could not reach any information. It didn't quite bring government to a halt, but it made the execution of government and the delivery of services very, very difficult. After the payment was made, by July 10th, were able to get our information back. The work did not stop then, and we continued to work with a variety of experts, consultants in the field, to ensure that the data, as we brought it back up online, was safe. And that process took an additional, it's still going on, but we are winding down, and hopefully that review will be over by the end of this month. As of now, there has been no indication that there was any breach of personal data, whether for the public or for employees. And I just wanted to say that, this was I don't think any government can be prepared for this. And I think that in retrospect and reviewing how it was handled, it was done efficiently and amazingly. And I want to give credit to those due, led by the mayor, Tony Fan, and Paul, and a whole bunch of other people. This is not something that anyone is prepared for. And fortunately for the township, we have insurance, and our insurance claim has been processed, and we anticipate receiving, wiring the money to us for the full amount by tomorrow. So the process is almost done, but I have to say, it's It was fascinating to read. I can imagine what it was like while it was going on. It must have been pretty difficult, intense times. And I commend all of the employees led by those people that I mentioned who were able to continue to deliver services. And while some of that information led to delays in apartments gaining access, they literally could not access files for 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks. Some of them still not yet on certain files because they have to be examined to see if they've been corrupted. That has led to some of the delays on OPA requests, and those responses will be prioritized as soon as that information can be obtained. So I just thought, in light of the numerous press and OPA requests we receive on this issue, that it was important to brief the mayor and council and the community as to what occurred.
Thank you, Mr. LaPola, and certainly appreciate law enforcement's involvement in this big way. And I'll just say what they've always said from the start: they're always searching to see exactly, what data went where, and so this is still ongoing in terms of where data went. And I know you're noting that there appears to be not this or not that, but they're always still checking. And certainly, I'll say kudos to everybody on the town side, as you noted, through their actions in handling it. Quite frankly, is the reason why our insurance carrier is paying the full amount, right? Because it was handled in a way that's appropriate. So, we're very pleased that it was done that way. That again, our insurance in place in the way it was appropriately done and handled, and with the involvement of law enforcement and everyone else, we then qualified and were appropriately acting to get full reimbursement, which I'm happy to hear is coming tomorrow too. Good. Okay. Thank you very much.
And Mayor and Mr. LaPola, I'd also like to recognize Mr. Scantlebury was also a part in while this was going on. He was assisting myself and Mr. Fan through the process. So I just want to remind us that he was here at that time.
Excellent. Madam Clerk, anything to report?
No, Mayor, no report, thank you.
Mr. Attorney?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Given the lateness of the hour, I will be brief. A couple of things real quick. It was an honor Saturday to participate in the ceremony for Mayor Grabowski, Mr. Mayor, who I know you know as well as me. He was being honored by the Central Polish organizations, and he'll be marching in their parade this year as well. Want to bring to everyone's attention the UMBA sidewalk sale, which is coming up September 23rd. It's a Saturday, starts I believe at 9. Look forward to seeing a lot of people there as well. We had a bittersweet ceremony at Grace Presbyterian Church, which I attended along with Chief Herman and some members of the fire department. After that horrific fire that just occurred there, they had a very nice church service on the lawn. Definitely looking forward to helping in any way I can to do the rebuilding process. I know Dr. Baskerville is nodding her head out there as well. There's also a women's club benefit coming up October 25th, the Upper Montclair Women's Club, or the Women's Club of Upper Montclair, I always get that wrong, on October 25th at 12 noon, and a portion of those proceeds will actually benefit MESH. So just giving another shout out to MESH. I want to thank Messrs. Bianco and Wood for their help with the getting the curbs done on the very last stretch of Park Street in Upper Montclair, and also Club Road as well. And there's one thing I want to address, which has kind of bothered me for a little bit here, and I want to thank all of you out there who brought it to my attention with regards to that August 1st council meeting. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to. I know there was a comment that was made up here at the dais, which I really didn't appreciate. I was at first night, which I had planned on going to attend when I first heard about it months ago, and I always go. When that August 1st meeting was scheduled, I was actually out of the country, and I had personal commitment after I went to first night. Not that I need to explain myself after sitting up here for 11 plus years. Particularly, I would never do that to another council colleague, call them out and say, I don't know why they're not at the meeting. Okay, it happened to me. I'm going to address it. I had a personal commitment that I had to honor. That meeting, again, was scheduled when I wasn't even in the country, and that's why I wasn't here that evening. Not that I'm defending myself, but I just want to set the record straight. Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I appreciate that. Councilman Schleicher?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I want to say a big thank you, but I also want to say, of all the years that I've been sitting up here on the council, this one thing that happened about 2 weeks ago, it has made the biggest impact, I feel, in the second ward after all these years, and that is the addition of a stop sign at the corner of Chestnut and Central. It has, what a difference. I've been advocating for that stop sign for a very long time. The neighbors have collectively been advocating to make that a four-way stop for many, many years. And it just in the nick of time before school started, it got erected, and there's multiple signs out there warning people of the new stop sign traffic flow, and it's just been a big, big help to that very busy corner by Montclair High School and the gateway of all the other schools that run along the corridor of Chestnut Street. So hats off to Steve Wood and Norberto Hernandez, Lieutenant Stephanie Ignezzo, Brian Scantleberry, Mr. Lapola. I'm just so pleased with all the things. It's made the biggest impact, and I've heard from so many people. So on this coming Thursday night, I'm going to be having a meeting at 5:30 with the neighbors at Essex Avenue and Champlain Terrace, which is to discuss the baseball field and the renovations at Montclair High School, focusing mostly on the trees. If many of you have been there, which I hope you have been, there's a forest of beautiful trees at the outfield of the baseball field, and we have a representative from the Montclair Board of Education, too, in fact, coming to help show everybody the plans for the new baseball field and will answer everybody's questions that they have. So that'll be this Thursday. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councilwoman Price Abrams?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to just recognize a few events I've just recently attended. We did have a jazz festival on Saturday, and it got off to a wonderful start. Credit and kudos to people who had worked a tremendous amount of time. Jazz House Kids, the Bid's a major partner. I know there's other sponsors and partners to that. And the crowd started coming, and we had such an incredible storm. So there were some people who really stuck it out, covered under various shelters, and it did resume later toward evening. But tremendous effort, a little disappointing given, the promise for just the draw. We just lost so much because of the weather, but I imagine you have to just factor that in every time. I mean, it's outdoors. It was, again, really got off to a great start, and it was a great feeling of community being there, and people I was chatting with a woman from neighboring communities, and really it's a nice pull in the whole region. So we'll continue to support other major festival type things like that. Really such good community events. On the more somber, of course, I did attend, as I really try to every single year, the county's 9/11 memorial service up on Eagle Rock. It's just between the setting that was created by the county in such a beautiful and meaningful way, and just different speakers who evoke some aspects of their own experience or just something that's uplifting. Senator Ruiz, who was among the speakers, really just, I think, spoke about in some ways the preciousness of life and how we take care of each other and take things to heart in that way. There was, of course, acknowledgement about the passing of Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, who was such a part of Essex County for so many decades. And another leader we lost, Joe Fiordaliso, who had been a public servant through his own service in Livingston, working for Senator Cody, and then on to his nearly 20-year tenure with the Board of Public Utilities, and most recently as its president. So, people who've made such a tremendous difference, it just, in addition to the memorializing for those we lost on 9/11, I should jump out just to take, I want to make mention also that there's a group of volunteers led by Jane, and I'm forgetting her last name this very second, but it used to be the Hillside Swap. Now it's over at, I think it's at the Women's Club, but you can drop things off. It's on the 29th, and then you can come and take anything that you want that has been donated. They're taking donations, women's, men's, children, babies, clothing, footwear, household goods, toys and games, and then don't bring all the other stuff. There's a long list. I'm happy to send it out, but the drop-off time is on Friday afternoon, and really just, it's a wonderful community thing that really helps that recycling economy, and it's all, of course, just free. And lastly, I just want to say, as I'm poised and many others in the community to observe, our high holy days, Rosh Hashanah is coming up Friday night, and it'll be a weekend of being with our own faith community, and it's really just a time for reflection and repair and sort of appreciation, and I just wish that for everybody else. So may you find that moment as well in your life for fresh beginnings. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cummings?
Yeah, just a couple of things, Mayor. I want to recognize Katia. Her retirement party was nice to be here with her and just acknowledge her 19 years of service. Former Mayor Remsen and former Mayor Jackson were in attendance, as well as a host of employees. So, wish her well, and it's just great to be able to see someone, deservedly go out on their own and be happy with it. So I was happy about that. I also want to recognize the group who was behind the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington event up at the MLK Memorial in Nishawayne Park. Same time, I've got since I called Mr. Bianco 3 times and he hasn't returned my call, clearly because he must be returning Bill and Robbins. He's got to do a better job of making sure that monument area is taken care of. Mr. William Scott personally went and cut and trimmed and blew the property before that event, and so I'm publicly calling Rob out because he didn't return my call. So yes, I will praise our employees when they do a good job, but I also will call them out when they don't. So I hope he feels that threat. And finally, I want to also give Ms. Zena Floyd a lot of credit. This Saturday in the South End Business District, she'll be having the 2nd annual Fame event, and I'm going to shut down the area, and people can come and meet all the businesses, the business owners, and the property, and have a good time. It's for families, for kids. Last year, we went down there. Mr. Mayor, you were there. Lori was there. Of course, Mr. Russo was there. And we had a good time. The turnout was nice. Hopefully, the weather will cooperate, and hope to see you guys there. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. I'll just briefly note as well a couple thank yous. Yes, as was noted, Jazz Festival was still an excellent event despite the weather. Was unable to put a damper on it, but also want to give a big thank you to our police department. I know that Melissa Walker late in the evening tried to go just a little bit longer because everyone was shortchanged on their time, and the police, and the police chief and the department made it happen, going just a little bit longer to allow everybody to enjoy the last few performances, last few acts to get on. So that was great, and a big thank you to everybody involved there, and certainly it's a big production to put that all together, and certainly it's wonderful for our community. Certainly for the vendors and everyone else there with all the rain, a little bit disappointing, but certainly I know everyone still had a great time. So good stuff there. Sentinel 16, I want to give a big thank you and every community partner for the backpack giveaway for schools. As an educator, that's such a big thing, and seeing all the kids there, whether it's getting the haircuts, getting the backpack, supplies, etc. Always really, really exciting. And the big bouncy house, I should say, because I know that's always a big draw. That again, great to see community coming together and certainly providing kids what they need for school. So wonderful on that front. I know we have upcoming shortly. We should, all look out for community events that we can attend, Sophia Walk, other things like that. But we want to make sure we're supporting the community who supports us, and I want to thank everybody for always doing that. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
If I could just have one little thing. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I forgot this, and forgive me. I just wanted to thank my new intern, Ms. Trenta, for sitting with us this evening. We don't usually get out this early, so you got spoiled tonight. But
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I heard you say given the late hour. I think that's what I heard you start this with. But.
I was being sarcastic.
Oh,
Could you tell?
I barely got that. Yeah, thank you.
I just asked, and she's not changing majors.
She's sticking with it, huh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Yes. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night. 9 o'clock.